Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the concept of Kalsarp Yoga. So guys, as at the time when I'm recording this video, we are already going through the holy auspicious month of Shravan. And today is Monday when I'm recording this video. So I'm very much sure you must be aware that Shravan month and Monday is chiefly connected with the Lord Shiva, and specifically all those people who have these kind of yogas in their natal chart, like people who have this so-called yoga of Kalsarp in their chart, getting a appeasement ritual done, getting a puja done becomes very important. So that is the only reason I thought that although I have already talked about this yoga in this channel in the past, but as you know that with my work on this channel, I am also continuously growing with my knowledge base as well. Like astrology is an unending ocean of knowledge, and just because guys, this is a kind of a yoga which is very strongly get debated even within the astrology community as well, because there is no mention of this yoga in the classical text. But when you keep on coming across people who book their consultation, and when I see their ongoing problems or whatsoever they are struggling with, and when you see the resonance of the Kalsarp yoga as well and with other alignments, definitely this yoga has got some say, which we will try to understand in a modern day context as well. So yes guys, to begin with, for all those people who are not familiar with this yoga, so first of all, what does the name in itself suggest? So Kalsarp, it can be translated in English as, Kal could be translated as time, or this could be death, and Sarp could be translated in English as snake. So symbolically, this word in itself means a soul which is coiled in the past karma. The result of that will get manifested in this life in the form of karmic rewards, where you can have some exceptional unusual talents, where your growth in this life could be very rapid, or this could be manifesting results in the form of karmic retribution, all sort of obstruction, all sort of delays without any explainable reasons for all of your ongoing problems. So this is a kind of a yoga which is a very double-edged sword. Now how to decode it, what could be the alignment of that now we will understand. So what is the eligibility which forms this yoga? So guys, that's very simple. When you will find all the planets in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, this gives rise to the Kalsarp yoga. So as you know that Rahu and Ketu are always in retrograde motion. So that means as you can see this reference chart on your screen. So in this chart, as you can see that it's a Aries Lagna, Rahu is placed in the first house in the Aries, and Ketu is placed in the seventh house in the Libra. Now as you know that because Rahu represents the head of the serpent and Ketu represents the tail part of it. Now just because Rahu and Ketu are always in a retrograde motion, so that means from the Aries, other planets, they move forward, like from Aries, Sun, Moon, Mercury, all these planets will move to the Taurus, second house, Gemini, third house. That's how they will move. But just because Rahu and Ketu are always retrograde in motion, so from Aries, Rahu will go to the Pisces in the 12th house. From over there, it will go to the 11th house where you will find the Aquarius sign. And just because Rahu represents the head of the snake, so that means it will start consuming, eating up all the planets till the time it will reach the tail end of the karmic axis. So that is one way of looking at this Kalsarp yoga alignment. Now guys, just because there could be certain exception as well, like some people say that if you have a Kalsarp yoga with any planet conjunct with Rahu or Ketu, it nullifies the Kalsarp yoga, which I do not find very valid. I personally feel that if all the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, irrespective of the fact that they are even conjunct with Rahu and Ketu, still the power of the Kalsarp yoga tend to remain very strong. The only exception is that if you will find planet to be outside of the axis of Rahu and Ketu, like let's say for example, within this example as well, had the moon been placed in the second house or Mars being placed in the fourth house, then we could have said this thing that just because all the planets are not within the axis of Rahu and Ketu, so this cannot be categorized or called as the Kalsarp Yoga. Now guys, after that, like the way I mentioned this thing, that this is a kind of a yoga which is highly karmic in nature. That in itself means that whatsoever the soul is carrying within itself, the burden of karma, that will manifest in this lifetime. Now guys, the only concern with the Kalsarp Yoga is that there are other forms of combinations as well. Like let's say for example, if Saturn is ill placed in your natal chart and you are going through the Saturn Dasha, you're going through the Sadesati, definitely things in your life will slow down. Whatsoever you will try to achieve at a time when you are under the influence of Saturn, you might have to work hard, you might have to struggle a lot. So guys, when we talk about the Kalsarp Yoga, this is a typical yoga where karmic events, unusuality takes a major say. So now for that, what I personally feel and I say, and why I'm showing this chart as a reference, is that if a chart is karmic, if a life is karmic, you will get the indication from so many different places. Like it's not like that just the Kalsarp Yoga is capable or sufficient enough in blocking all areas of your life, completely devoiding you of the fruits of any specific area of life. So what I mean over here is that a Kalsarp Yoga gets more potent or powerful if the overall chart is kind of pointing towards a very karmic life journey. Like the way, for example, in this natal chart, this is the perfect example of a Kalsarp Yoga. Now, as you can see over here, if you will look at the degree of the ascendant of the Lagna and look at the degree of the Rahu, so we get the first indication that Rahu is very strongly conjunct with the ascendant. Second thing is that if you will look at the Moon Nakshatra, Moon is also placed in the Nakshatra of Rahu, which is the Sadbisha. Third point is that where the ascendant lord, here we are talking about a life. So life force, life direction, we get to know from the placement of the ascendant lord. Where the ascendant lord is placed, ascendant lord has gone to the 8th house. It is very strong, it is very potent over there. Now even if you will look at the nakshatra of Rahu, so Rahu is placed in the 1st house, strongly conjunct with the degrees of the Lagan ascendant. Rahu is placed in the nakshatra of the Ketu, in the Aries but in the Ashwini nakshatra, and Ketu is placed in the 7th house but in the nakshatra of Rahu, which is Swati, and all the planets are within it. So now this is a typical chart which will represent all the energies of the Kalsarp Yoga. Now guys, many times people say this thing that you have to also see how the planets are placed in the D9 chart or the Navamsa chart. So if the same pattern is going to be repeated in the D9 chart as well, where all the planets are within the axis of Rahu and Ketu, then we can say this thing that yes, karmic axis is very strong. Rahu and Ketu are very strong in the life of this person. Now what does this mean? Now comes the, after understanding what does the term in itself represents, Kalsarp Yoga. Second point was, which we discussed about the alignment, eligibility for looking at or studying a Kalsarp Yoga. Now the third point is that how to decode it, how you will find the results getting manifested. So guys, what I personally feel over here is that just because even if you will look at the whole story of the formation of the Swarbhanu demon, like from the mythology, who was whose head was severed by the disc of Lord Vishnu, head part became Rahu, and the tail part, rest of the body, became Ketu. So guys, over here, just because this whole of the quest of this demon Swarbhanu was to get the get immortal or get the status of a planet. Now just because even at the time when the whole churning of the ocean was taking place to get that elixir of immortality, but the poison came first. So generally in the life of the people who have got Kalsarp Yoga in their chart, the first half of the life is generally filled with struggle. They generally get the success in the second half of their life. Second point is that over here guys, just because a balanced chart is when you will find that all the planets are uniformly placed in the chart. Because if you will find that all the planets have got concentrated to the one side of the chart, it somehow imbalances the life of the native, which in itself means that native might have a very successful, very exceptional professional life, but he might have to struggle a lot in his domestic life, in his personal life, or let's say for example native might have got a very good professional life, but he might have to suffer very terribly in the form of his health, in the form of betrayal from the family and friends. So generally it has been seen that uniformity, balance is not a forte of someone who has got a Kalsarp Yoga in his chart. One area of the life is somewhat where native can get exceptional success, and at the same time one area of the life native might have to adjust, he might have to struggle, or he might have to make peace with his destiny. Because guys, this is a typical yoga where your free will becomes reduced and fated events, or we can say that somehow destiny takes a major say in the life of the person. After that guys, generally as you know this thing that when it comes down to the maturity of the planets as well, so Rahu matures at 42 years of age, Ketu matures at the 48 years of age. So generally the success comes in the latter half, and specifically after the 42nd year, these people can grow very rapidly in their chosen field, in their profession. Now guys, after that here, because we are talking about the importance of the Kalsarp Yoga, so because as you know that in our chart Rahu generally gets controlled by Mercury. So if you will find that Mercury is well placed in the chart, somehow you will find a saving grace. And same is the way when we talk about Ketu. So Ketu can be controlled by the power of the Jupiter. So if Jupiter is well placed, Jupiter is aspecting this Ketu, then they tend to remain this potential and possibility that definitely the rejection and denying qualities of Ketu could be tamed because of the benefic influence or aspect of the planet Jupiter. After that guys, just because you cannot attach only the failures, disappointments or delays with people who have got Kalsarp Yoga, because we have got very successful role models and examples. You can take up the case of Nelson Mandela. He had this Kalsarp Yoga in his chart. From India, Sachin Tendulkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, and there are like so many exceptional talented people who were born with this Kalsarp Yoga. Like the way guys, in palmistry there is a combination which we call as the Simeon line, when you will find that in the palm, irrespective, and instead of having a separate heart line which tells about your feelings and headline which tells about your mindset, your rationality, your comprehension power, you will find one single line which can actually make you very obsessive towards the things where you have got deep inclination or you have got deep interest. So same is the way guys, when we talk about Kalsarp Yoga or people born with the Kalsarp Yoga, they are born with a pre-written destiny of greatness or of struggle or of like in a kind of a disbalanced life. So which can only be controlled, which can only be kind of balanced with spiritual and religious refuge. So that is one thing guys, even when we talk about the remedies, so this is one thing which you have to be very mindful of, because if you have to control the end where Rahu is going to be placed, so Rahu which can create lot of illusion, Rahu can create lot of confusion, so because of which your self-talk, self-chattering in the mind needs to be controlled. So when it comes down to the remedies of Rahu, not only you have to look at Rahu, you have to also look at individually its dispositor, and most importantly in which condition dignity Mercury is placed in the chart. So I would say that the benefic planets which could be responsible for instilling positive thoughts in your mind, or which can from darkness which can take you towards the light. So we say this thing that giving strength to your Jupiter, giving strength to your sun in your natal chart becomes very important. Now guys, after that, as you know that because here we are talking about a yoga where the fated events or the mistakes or the kind of karma from the past has got this power to block you or actually could catapult your success. So because of which worship of Lord Shiva becomes very important, because somehow Lord Shiva is a god, or any of the ritual, any of the remedy done to appease Lord Shiva can actually in a way control or remove the malefic effects of not only Rahu and Ketu but the planet Saturn as well. So because of which the worship of Lord Shiva becomes very important for all those people who have got Kalsarp Yoga in their chart. So I say this thing that a lot many times people say this thing to me that I have already got this one stop, one time puja done in one of the Jyotirling connected with Lord Shiva like Tramkeshwar. But I would say that if you have got this Kalsarp Yoga in your natal chart, so getting a Rudrabhishek done in the holy month of Shravan and specifically any of the austerity connected to Lord Shiva done on the Nag Panchami becomes very important for all those people who have got Kalsarp Yoga in their chart. Like the way guys, I already mentioned this thing, having this yoga in your life does not mean that you cannot attain success. Definitely karma from the past is going to be a strong restraining aspect in your life, and specifically that will be operating more on the first half of your life. But when it comes down to the success stories or people who have like after coming from the humble background, they have reached the peak in their chosen field, exceptional success, unusual talent suddenly getting manifested over there as well, this yoga has got a potential or power to manifest all these results. The only thing is that the negativity, confusion and illusion of Rahu you have to tame through surrender to the divine, through strict discipline in your life, and giving power to all those planets which can actually instill positivity, good thoughts, and from darkness take you towards the light. And definitely guys, worship of Lord Shiva and all the austerities we have already discussed. So now we will briefly look at that if you have this Kalsarp Yoga in different houses in your chart, what could this indicate? Again guys, a lot many modern day astrologers have attached the name of the different Nagas with a different formation of Rahu and Ketu in different houses. So that is not more important because like the way I already mentioned this thing, there is no mention of this yoga in the classical text. So just superficially we will try to touch this yoga, that if this Kalsarp Yoga is getting formed in your natal chart in different house axis, how it can block you or restrict you, or what kind of exceptional gifts or talents you could have. Like the way guys, I always mention this thing that the thumb rule is that Kalsarp Yoga will only be more potent, more strong if your overall life or your chart is very karmic. Like the way, for example, moon being in the Gandanta, moon being in the nakshatra of Rahu-Ketu, and ascendant lord being in the 8th house, in the 12th house, then it will definitely become more powerful, where discipline, divine surrender, all of that will become very important. So okay guys, let's start with the first combination. If you will find that Rahu is placed in the 1st house and Ketu is placed in the 7th house and all the planets are within its axis. So guys, this is a kind of a typical yoga which has got an exceptional potential and power to give a huge sudden sum of money. For that regard, this could be a very good combination. Second thing is that specifically for anything to do with going away from your birthplace or any of the foreign association generally prove to be very fruitful for the native. A lot many times it has been seen people who have got this Kalsarp Yoga in their chart, they are always in their head. All the time they are making plans, doing lot of planning and all. So, and the only thing is that guys, because the Ketu falls in the 7th house, so native might attain a fame, huge chunk of money in the life. But when it comes down to the matrimonial life, when it comes down to the domestic life of the native, that generally suffers. And specifically the first half of the life is something where native has to struggle a lot, specifically in order to a lot many times it also create a crisis over the self-identity, that native does not know that what place he holds in the society, what he meant to do in the life, what is going to be the life purpose of the native. So this sort of self-identity crisis is something which native has to go through in a lot many cases, because Rahu is there in the 1st house. It increases the ego as well a lot in the personality of the native, and your thought process is something which you have to monitor for all those people who have Kalsarp Yoga with Rahu and Ketu in the 1st house and the 7th house axis. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu's placement in the 2nd house and Ketu's placement in the 8th house, so definitely guys, this is a kind of a typical yoga where again, same like the previous combination, this combination or this Kalsarp Yoga holds this potential to give you huge sum of money. The only thing is that the source from which you will make money, that could be questionable. Second thing is that your speech is something where you have to be very cautious, because Ketu has already gone to the 8th house. So because of your argumentative nature, because of the wrong use of words or pompous speech, unnecessary native can actually create fights or create enemy for himself. And also guys, because in the original Kalpurush Kundli, second house now is carrying the energy of your parivar, of your family, and also Taurus energy, Venus energy means your wife as well. So native has to refrain from mistreating his partner or his spouse who has got this alignment. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu's placement in the 3rd house and Ketu's placement in the 9th house, and you will find the Kalsarp Yoga getting formed. All the planets are in this axis. So guys, that generally tells about that. Definitely for your like you carving a niche for yourself, creating an identity of yours, a unique identity in the society, in the community, this could be a very good combination. Like I would say that native might have a very entrepreneurial mindset. The only concern is that because Rahu is there in the 3rd house, and because all the planets are now in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, kind of, you know, it's not a Pap-Katri yoga where one house is getting hemmed because of the 2 malefic planets on the either side. It's like Rahu and Ketu are hemming all the planets. So native has to be very careful, very cautious that any of the wrong association with like in lot many cases it has been seen that native get betrayed by the friends, or because of you you know, gave money on credit to someone and later on that person is denying to return the money, and that also costed the friendship as well. So definitely the kind of people you pick up or whom you call as your friends, that is going to be a concern, that is going to be a matter of scrutiny. But definitely guys, for carving a niche for yourself in the society, in the community, being very religious mindset as well, or blessing of the ancestors and all, regarding that front, this could be a very good combination. Now guys, let's say for example, if you have Rahu placed in the 4th house and Ketu in the 10th house, and all the planets are in its axis, so definitely guys, the pull and the push is coming in the matters of your professional life and in the matters of your domestic life. This is the ideal combination where if native will move away from his birthplace, he can attain good success. Also guys, this is a kind of a typical combination if Rahu energy is not working out in a constructive way. I always say this thing is that moon is your feelings, Mercury is your mind, your intelligence, but the kind of thoughts which comes to your mind is Rahu. So this is a kind of a typical combination where people are always lost in their own thoughts. Like, you know, someone has got very absent-minded personality. So this could be responsible for that. And just because guys, now all the planets are hemmed in between Rahu and Ketu, so we have to see that how karmic the chart is, how your 4th house lord is placed in the chart, because otherwise this can also create a lot of property dispute, lot of the enmity within the family members as well. So not a very good combination when you will find Rahu to be placed in the 4th house. So the best remedy or solution is that if native will move away from his birthplace, he can attain good success. Now guys, if you will find Rahu to be placed in the 5th house and Ketu to be placed in the 11th house, and all the planets are in its axis. So guys, as you know that this is a typical combination where people at one stage in their life, they have got huge speculative win in any form. This could be from stock market, this could be from like suddenly you got interested in art, creativity, and you made a fortune over there. So I would say that for anything to do with in the lines of art, entertainment, creativity, speculative gains, this could be a good combination. But when it comes down to the family life, when it comes down to you know, concern on the account of progeny and all, or native kind of getting punished for his own manipulation. So I always say this thing that guys, that why we say that the benefic planets need to be in a strengthened position. Like when we talk about like planets like Saturn and Mars, they can still make you fearless, confident and persistent in the pursuit of your goals. The concern with Rahu is that Rahu always wants to do things in a shortcut way. Manipulation, deception is the kind of a forte of Rahu. So over here, because 5th house is the house of your mind, all the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu, and over and above that, Rahu is posited in the 5th house. So many times the manipulation of the native backfires and he get punished because of his own you know, kind of deceptive behavior and tendencies. But apart from that, guys, for financial gain point of view, this could be a very good combination. And I always say this thing, that if Rahu is placed in the 5th house, whatsoever deeds you will do, the punishment or retribution might come in the form of the way you will be treated back by your own children. So be very careful with this alignment. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu's placement in the 6th house, Ketu in the 12th house, and all the planets are in its axis, so guys, this is generally considered as very good, because as you know that Ketu is placed in the 12th house of the moksha, of enlightenment. It's just like that. I always say this thing, that it's not only the moksha or the enlightenment, it's just like that. In any of the testing times of the life, your psychic awareness is going to be very strong. Like the way, guys, I was watching one of the video of Osho, where he mentioned this thing, that all those people who in their past lifetimes, they have spent a lot of time in doing meditation, in opening their third eye and concentrating over here, you will find that these people in the lifetime, they're born with some sort of kind of prominence over here. This could be kind of little bit a deep mark over here, little bit depth over here. So the point which I'm saying over here is that Ketu's placement in the 12th house is not only gonna help your soul at the end of your life. It's just like that you're always attuned with nature, with the cosmos, celestial beings who are all the time guiding you. Like your guardian angels are always surrounded by you and guiding you intuitively. Your psychic awareness is going to be very strong, which will help you, not only acting as a shield protecting you from any threat, but all the time guiding you towards the right decision making the right choices. And Rahu's placement in the 6th house, you know that Rahu in the 6th house becomes highly competitive. So yes guys, for this is a kind of a typical combination where if Mercury is also very well placed in the chart, native actually get the best benefits and support from his maternal ties, from his maternal relatives. And apart from that, guys, this is a typical combination where specifically in all those fields like politics, in the fields of law and all, generally this is a kind of a placement which can give very stupendous success. But again guys, because all the planets are now hemmed and with the involvement of the Dushtana Bhava as well, so a lot will be dependent on that in which dignity ascendant Lord is placed. How strong of this Kalsarp Yoga is getting formed is what is the nakshatra of your moon. Is your moon nakshatra is Gandmul nakshatra? Is your ascendant Lord placed in the 8th house? So a lot will be dependent on that. But yes, this Kalsarp Yoga has got a potential of giving the best of the worlds. Like when we talk about in extremities, like in a positive side, it can make you very fiercely competitive, and because of the hardship, because of your daringness, you might reach the position of power, authority, or this could be that you will be overwhelmed with the enemies, battling with diseases, one thing is getting over and another debt is getting piled up. So this is a kind of a sensitive alignment which will manifest results whether positive or negative in an extreme way. Now guys, let's say for example, if you will find Rahu to be placed in the 7th house and Ketu to be placed in the 1st house. So guys, a lot many astrologers are in this opinion that this yoga, because now it's a karmic axis, all the planets are in the axis of Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is there in the 7th house. So this can create a lot of confusion, misunderstanding within the marriage. In certain cases, it can give you a foreign spouse, or this could also create a yoga of 2 marriages as well. So you have to be very careful while decoding this yoga. This could be the most sensitive, because like the way guys, see, Rahu in the 1st house can still make you too intelligent for your own good. It can make you selfish as well. You cannot trust someone with Rahu so empowered in the 1st house. But when it comes down to in the today's modern day context, native will still be selfish or smart enough to think from his point of view. But when we talk about Ketu in the 1st house, in today's modern day age, it can make you act in a very headless way. Like, you cannot be all the time feeling it. You have to be putting your brain into it while dealing with uncertain situations, uncertain people and all. So I would say guys that with this kind of combination, a lot will be dependent on that how Jupiter individually is placed. What is the nakshatra of moon, where the ascendant Lord has gone. So we have to take into consideration everything. But let's say guys, everything is very well supported, and because here we are talking about a axis place, which has got a potential and power to give you the fruits of the actions done by you in the past lifetimes. So if everything is in a very accentuated combination, so I would say that in the second half of life, native could have a very rapid success as well. He might be very world famous as well. So again guys, a lot will be dependent, but definitely native's identity of the self and how he connects within the world will always be a matter of concern. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu's placement in the 8th house and Ketu's placement in the 2nd house, and all the planets are in its axis. So guys, I still remember like in one of the depiction of this yoga, someone has mentioned, some astrologer, that these are among those people who, like in the older times, all those criminals who used to have the wanted posters printed of them. So I mean to say, obviously guys, if Rahu and Ketu are getting empowered, all the planets are in its axis, and over and above that Rahu is placed in the 8th house. So definitely this is a kind of a very cautionary combination where criminal tendencies or getting imprisoned and all of that possibility is going to be very strongly there. Now definitely guys, a lot will be dependent on how other planets are behaving, where the ascendant lord is placed, in which nakshatra moon is placed, in which sign Rahu is placed in the 8th house, what is the dignity of the sign lord over there. So we have to take into consideration everything. But yes, native will have deep interest in the dark side of the life and death, blood, mystery, exploration. And guys, whenever Rahu gets empowered, like with this kind of combination, let's say for example moon is also placed in the nakshatra of Rahu, so native will do everything which will be considered as an outlaw in the society. Whether we talk about marriage, whether we talk about job, business, source of income, everything is going to be a question mark with this kind of axis when this Kalsarp Yoga is going to be getting formed. But again guys, in lot many cases it has been seen that because Rahu is the significator of our in-laws, 8th house is also the house of in-laws and joint resources as well. So native might not feel as connected as with his immediate family as much he will feel connected with his in-laws or towards the family of his or her spouse. And also guys, for anything to do with the being away from the birthplace, settling down in the foreign land, this could be a very good combination for that. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu's placement in the 9th house and Ketu's placement in the 3rd house and a Kalsarp Yoga getting formed, all the planets are in its axis. So definitely guys, this is a kind of a typical yoga where you will find that native will have interest in the foreign land, in the foreign culture, foreign religion, foreign guru. So all of that is going to be very natural in native's mindset. Second thing is that guys, when we talk about anything to do with the place of worship and all, so native might become very kind of, this is a kind of a combination which can actually very easily radicalize someone, even in the matters of faith and philosophy. So that question mark is definitely going to be there. But definitely guys, when we talk about in today's modern day and age, where we talk about all those successful motivational speakers or trainers, or like all those people who have got this kind of innate good intuitive abilities to understand the pulse of the collective and create a content which can affect people on a very global level, on a very mass level. Regarding that front, this could be a good combination. So yes guys, on a material plane, anything to do with the foreign land and all, or being very open towards all form of learning and education, this could be a good combination. But yes guys, with this kind of combination, the aspect of luck generally suffers and the friendship also suffers, because with Ketu in the 3rd house, native will definitely suffer in forming a deeper bond with anyone. And with Rahu in the 9th house, this is not a very good combination for taking those leap of faith, because you know the qualities of Rahu, it will keep on building up hope, and suddenly it will make you fall down. So be very cautious, be very careful. But again guys, for anything to do with the material plane, for comprehensive learning, very cosmopolitan mindset, this could be a good combination. Now guys, let's say for example, if Rahu is placed in the 10th house and Ketu is placed in the 4th house and all the planets are in their axis forming a Kalsarp Yoga, this is generally considered as good. Now definitely guys, a lot will be dependent on the planet which can control Rahu, which is Mercury, the planet which can control Ketu, which is Jupiter, and the ascendant lord and the moon nakshatra, Rahu's dispositor. So a lot will be dependent on that. But definitely guys, because when we talk about Kalsarp Yoga, in a way your karmic axis is getting strengthened, and Rahu, which is a planet with insatiable desires, which wants to experience life, which wants to make connection, which wants to create a unique identity. So definitely guys, on a material professional front, this could be a good combination. But again guys, anything to do with away from your birthplace might suit native more. And also guys, because here we are talking about a axis which is strongly influencing your house of career, and I have already mentioned this thing at the beginning of this video, that the best of the Kalsarp Yoga generally manifest only in the second half of the life. So in the first half of the life, native might have to suffer with not able to find a niche or a very harmonious workplace, community, or a profession for himself. Native might have to change many professions before landing to his niche. So I would say that many professional turmoils native has to go through. But in today's modern age, where masses, internet, media, artificial intelligence has got a strong say. So anything to do with the fields of innovation, technology, mass media and all, over there native can actually attain good success. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu's placement in the 11th house and Ketu's placement in the 5th house, so definitely guys, in this combination, if you will find that individually Jupiter is well placed, ascendant lord is also making a kind of combination which is more prone and which is more inclined towards wealth, artha. Like for example, with this kind of axis, moon nakshatra is nakshatra of like Venus, or like say the ascendant lord is well placed in the trine houses, in the 11th house in itself, or in the second house being placed in the 10th house, then this axis has got this potential to manifest some very good results. Specifically guys, when we talk about having those multiple channel of income, and with this kind of combination, native will definitely be very smart and wise enough to generate new sources of income. So he might be starting his career in one field, but he will very quickly and very easily diversify to different sectors as well. So yes guys, and definitely 42nd year will be a year of prominent growth or some significant achievement in the life of the native as well. The only thing is that guys, when we talk about Ketu's placement in the 5th house, so generally Ketu, which represents a male child, male progeny, but because Ketu's placed in the 5th house lord's dignity needs to be assessed. Otherwise, in the matters of children and all, while conceiving and all, over there could be concerns, or in the formative years of the native, he might have to face a lot of breaks in the basic education. But apart from that guys, the second half of the life, when you are all ready, trained, all skilled and ready to face the world, challenges of the world, to create a kind of platform or niche for yourself, this axis can actually manifest some very good results. Now guys, the last combination is that if you will find Rahu to be placed in the 12th house, Ketu to be placed in the 6th house, and all the planets are in their axis, that in itself means that because Kalsarp Yoga means that the karmic axis is strengthened in your case. Rahu and Ketu are actually calling the shots over all the strength of other 7 planets. So guys, with this kind of combination, definitely first half of the life will be filled with some sort of bitter experiences which will be building you up, which will be preparing you for the gifts and rewards which will come in the second half of the life. Because guys, as you know that Rahu's placement in the 12th house, Rahu can easily get swayed away, can get carried away towards all these hallucinating things. When we talk about drugs, when we talk about being very much interested in all the taboo things, clandestine things, hedonistic lifestyle, and if getting entangled in manipulation or some sort of secretive acts, 6th house also holds this potential with the placement of 6th house Ketu to create problem of the credit, create the problem of debts, or entangling you with some powerful enemies as well. So it all comes down to how the overall chart is responding. But the good part is that only if you know how to channelize the energy, how to live harmoniously with this yoga, like you are very disciplined and you have got this say of completely surrendering yourself to the divine will, or being very serviceful and very empathetic towards the problems and concerns of others. So I would say that if your moon nakshatra is well, it's not a Gandanta, not a karmic sort of nakshatra, and your ascendant lord is strengthened, and somehow Mercury, because in this axis Rahu can create a lot of misunderstanding. Rahu is the chief problem creator in this axis. So I would say that if everything is working out constructively, this can actually give you success in the foreign land, away from your birthplace, and some unusual exceptional talents which you will start manifesting in the second half of the life. So yes guys, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.